Holy crap, Microsoft had a huge, long conference this year. It was like over 90 minutes. Long, long time. So much to talk about, a lot of notes, but I'm going to try as best as I can to try and break it down here and talk about everything they had shown us. But let's go ahead and start right off with Scorpio. They went right into Scorpio. That we knew that this was going to be something that was going to come up, and they were going to talk about Scorpio a little bit. They didn't talk about it a ton in the beginning, but just enough to kind of give us a hint. They were saying things like, in general, 4K games, so 4K updates for games will still look good on 1080p, screens and monitors and stuff. So even if you don't have a 4K television, your 1080p game will still look really good. Apparently, all games will work with Xbox One X. So you get your Xbox One title game, you can put it in your Xbox One X, and it will just work, which is a nice thing. They showed us the casing, and the casing looked very similar to an Xbox One S. It looked like a black Xbox One S, maybe a little bit slimmer, and it looks like the disc case or the disc slot might have moved down a little bit on the left than instead of where it is on the Xbox One S. But fundamentally, it looked very similar to the Xbox One S. But I liked it. I love the Xbox One S. I upgraded from an Xbox One to an S because where I wanted to put it in my room, I didn't have the space for the Xbox One to be flat. I just didn't have anywhere to put it, so I ended up getting the S because it could be, it could stand up, and I could get it into tighter nooks and crannies. And then we saw some Forza Motorsport. They revealed a new Porsche, cars. I've never been a big Forza fan, but it is one of Microsoft's big IPs, so they gotta talk about it. But I'm happy that they at least did a lot of this stuff early, so they got all that out of the way, and the things that I was cared about or things I was looking forward to, at least were at the end of the, towards the end of the conference. And then they went right into saying how they're going to have 42 games. They showed 42 games, they said, at this conference. And as long as this conference was, it felt like 42 games. And 22 of them were going to be exclusives. And they started off with what looked like, when I first saw it, was going to be like, oh, this is Metro. This looks like a Metro-style game. And as it was shown, it was Metro Exodus. And it looked like it was an open-world exploration of Metro. I had never played any of the original Metro Last Light, or Metro 2077, I think is the title of the game. I had never played any of those, but maybe I'll go back and look into those now, because Exodus looked really cool. And even though I knew, I was like, oh, this is, Metro, I still was interested in the open world. I love open world games. I love it when they take that open world, because open world lets you do kind of everything. A lot of people were like iffy on, like Arkham Knight. I thought it was still a good game, Arkham Knight, and I loved it because it was open world. It really made you feel like Batman, and I like open world games to be like that. And then they went into the next title, and Microsoft was just hammering on the titles. They were just like, oh, here's the next title. Alright, well, here's the next title. Oh, here's the next exclusive. Well, here's the next game coming out. Here's a guy. Oh, here's another game. So they were really good about just keeping the pacing with the games and just letting us see what we want to see. And then they showed off Assassin's Creed Origins. They brought on, I'm probably going to again butcher this, John Guistan. Probably messed it up. He's the creative director for the game. And they didn't spell the main character's name, but they did pronounce it. So I'm going to try to pronounce it here, and even though I think I wrote it down, and it doesn't sound, it's not anything how it's spelled, but Piak? It's either Piak or Payak. I think it's a Payak. He's the last Magi, which was like a, holy warrior, if you will, of Egypt. He's the last one. And they went into a gameplay demo, and there should be a little bit of that running on the screen right now. And that the starting region you'll be in will be Siwa. It looks like it's going to be very open world, much like the original Assassin's Creed. It's maybe more like, not more like Assassin's Creed 3, but it'll blend that city to wildlife, better than going from, point A loading screen to point B loading screen. They used the new Eagle, and I'm hoping this replaces the towers. There probably will still be towers you climb. It's Ubisoft. If they didn't, I'll be surprised. But let's just assume that there's a tower and you get a lay of the land. But what he was using his Eagle for like a UAV sight, almost like a new Eagle Vision, like real Eagle Vision. But it was probably Hawk. But like real Eagle Vision. I like the UAV use of it. It was flying over and like marking targets. It was cool. I like that a lot. That's a good way to change it up. There's apparently a gear and loot pickup system. Like, this seems to be really popular with a lot of current games, is something to just keep progression for the player. They can just keep playing. They always get something, some sort of reward, common, rare, epic, legendary gear. So I'm glad to see that in here. They had everything from, like, the combat, which looked like it was going to be Dark Souls-like, which I'm fine with, because the biggest criticism that a lot of people had with the last Assassin's Creed games is that all you had to do was wait for someone to attack you, press B, and then press X, or whatever the equivalent button was, to basically get an insta-kill. Some enemies were a little harder because you had to trip them up, or you had to, get behind them, or shoot them before you could kill them. But basically, BX was your best combo for taking down about 20 dudes. So instead of, like, stealth or being smart, you could theoretically just jump into a crowd of like 30 guys and kill them all with 2 buttons. Wasn't really interesting, it wasn't fun, it was a big criticism of what made the combat not good, but you see him sliding around, he's getting around to characters, he's like 1, 2, he's swiping. It looked very Dark Souls-y. You still have those executions at the end, which look beautiful, so I'm glad they blended that into the Dark Souls type of mechanics of combat fighting. And then he fires an arrow, and this is like a first-person shooting arrow. Fires the arrow, and he's gonna kind of like control the arrow, and he can home in on targets, which I was like, what? I thought it was just gonna be like a cool cinematic shot, and then it was just like, woo! We did these crazy, just like this thing went up and down. And I was like, okay, well that's kind of cool, but still crazy. Like, it's gonna come out October 27th. I'm looking forward to it. I had heard rumors that it was gonna be a female player too. So there was also going to be like, much like Syndicate was. Jacob and Evie Fry, we had 2 main characters, a brother and a sister. I had heard that this was also going to have a male and female lead, but again, it's coming out on October 27th. I'm excited. I secretly hope there's some sort of multiplayer component. I know a lot of people did not like the multiplayer component from Unity, but I thought it was an interesting step in the right direction. I would like to see that dabbled in more. Next, they moved right into PlayerUnknown's, and they brought PlayerUnknown out and his Battlegrounds. So PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, which has been very popular on PC recently, is going to be coming, and it should be coming out at some point late 2017. Again, this is a big game recently. I haven't played it, but if it came to Xbox, I'd probably give it a try. And then they showed off just a slew of just maybe little exclusive. They had Deep Rock Galactic. That was an exclusive. I'm not sure what it was. I think it was just a short little video. State of Decay 2 had a fairly lengthy video coming out, but not coming out till spring 2018. This was a game that we heard about for a while, and it's not coming out till next year, and this is going to be, unfortunately, a common theme in the Microsoft conference for me. A lot of games that we've known about for 2 to 3 years are still not coming out this year. They're coming out early next year, or sometime next year, or late next year. Like, I was really hoping to see a lot of stuff that was going to just be, that's coming out October, that's coming out December, that's coming out November, but we didn't get a lot of that. But I'll keep going and we'll get into those as they come. But again, State of Decay 2 got a huge trailer. I believe it is multiplayer now. There's a big complaint with the original game. But it's going to be coming spring 2018. They didn't show co-op, but I believe it does have co-op in there. And then they showed off the Darwin Project. It looks like an arcadey style, like PlayerUnknown's Battleground type game. It looked almost kind of Monday Night Combat-y. They brought a guy out that was just, like, oh, and John goes for the hook, and oh, look, she's going around the corner to see if she can get around the house and get him in the back of the head with an arrow. Oh, she fires once. Oh, she fires again. And it was just kind of like, a comment. You're almost, Hunger Games type of, like, weird spectating, them people trying to kill each other. And then they went into Minecraft, and it was cross-compatibility, but I had heard some reports that this cross-compatibility will be with everything, so Xbox can play with PC, PC can play with Switch, Switch can play with Xbox, but I had heard that Sony is kind of out of the loop on that one, and that Sony is not going to have cross-compatibility with the other consoles. That's a shame. I hope that gets cleared up. Let's get more information on that, but I'm just telling you what I've been told or what I've heard. Next, they moved on to a 2D style Dragon Ball Fighter game called Dragon Ball FighterZ. This looked very reminiscent of the old style Dragon Ball 2D fighting games on like the Sega Genesis and like old Nintendo the SNES and the old Nintendo consoles. It looked interesting. I wasn't expecting it, but it looked okay. It wasn't something that really got me thrilled. I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. Maybe I'd dabble into it. It was cheap. It was like, like a $15, $20 title. It wasn't a full $60 blown title. But we'll see. And then the next thing that actually caught me by surprise, it looked like it was just going to be an MMO. It looked like just generic MMO. I was like, oh, maybe Microsoft is going to do their own MMO. But then I thought about it, and I was like, either this is a Terra release date, or this is something else. And I was on a party chat with my friend, and I was like, maybe it's Black Desert. And he was like, you called it, because he was a couple of minutes ahead of me in the conference. It was Black Desert. They announced Black Desert coming to Xbox One, but again, another console released game coming early 2018. So this is not a MMO that is going to be released this year. That, again, another big disappointment. I was hoping to have that. It's like, that would have been a really big blow. I'd be like, okay, that's cool. I can't wait to play the game. Looks great on PC. I wouldn't mind giving it a try on Xbox. Moving on, they moved on to the Last Night, which would look like a 2D side-scrolling, pixelated Blade Runner-ish type game. It had that vibe of the future, that futuristic vibe from Blade Runner. And then they moved on to the Artful Escape, and then they moved on to Code Vein. This was a game we knew about for a while, but Code Vein is like a Dark Souls anime type of game about vampires, I believe, or at least about blood. But again, this is another title. Not coming out this year, it's coming out 2018. Okay, moving on. We had Sea of Thieves. Now, I've been enjoying the alpha of Sea of Thieves. But it's been hard to play because either the mic systems aren't working or I'm having a hard time communicating with my teammates on the ship, so it's been very hard to do anything. So at one point in the game of the alpha, I was just, one-manning the ship, and it was impossible. I couldn't do anything. But they showed off some gameplay from Sea of Thieves from Rare. They had some sunken ship explorations, there were sharks all around. They showed things where you could explore caves, and apparently you can launch players out of cannons, and that they'll let you go onto ships, and you can get to farther distances or get onto islands that you need to get to with only a little bit of damage hurting you. There are legendary treasure chests apparently you can find, and riddles to solve, and caves to explore. And I'm assuming if there are legendary treasure chests, there are different types of treasure chests: legendary, rare, common. Like loot, which has become, as I said, is becoming very popular. And of course, they showed a little bit of ship-to-ship combat. And after they launched someone onto the enemy ship, and he took out just about everybody, the game ended. The game delay ended, and it just announced, and again, another early 2018 release date. We showed a little bit of Tacoma, which was a game we knew about. It was like a detective kind of space exploration thing. You have to kind of figure out what happened on the station. That'll be launching August 2nd. Super Lucky's Tale. I don't know. I believe this is the follow-up to a VR game, just Lucky's Tale. And this will be launching November 7th. Cuphead. Cuphead. We finally got a Cuphead release date. The Cuphead, which is a game I've been really looking forward to. I know a lot of people have been really looking forward to it. It's coming out September 29th. I'm happy this is finally coming out. It's been a long wait. I'm happy to see that come out. That's at least something that's coming out this year that I can look forward to. And then they moved on to Crackdown 3. And Terry Crews in Crackdown 3. They had Terry Crews in a video blowing stuff up. He channeled very much his Old Spice persona. You could definitely feel it in there. And after just a stunning gameplay footage of this game, getting excited for it. They showed it was going to have a November 7th release date. So, hopefully, this does not get delayed. I really don't want Crackdown 3 to get delayed. If Microsoft wants the Xbox One X now to come out and do well, you need those heavy exclusive titles. If not exclusive to the Xbox One X, you need exclusive games for your consoles to be out. So I'm glad that this is releasing on the same date that the Scorpio is. I really just hope it stays that way. I don't want it to get pushed back, because that would be a real bummer, as I've really looked forward to this game. From last E3, we saw a little bit of Ashen. So we saw a little more of Ashen here, and this looked like it was a two-player dungeon crawler, very reminiscent of a Dark Souls-y type of feel. I was looking forward to this when they announced it last year. We didn't get really any. It was just Ashen. It was like, okay, well, they are still working on it. It is still a game. I'm assuming it is an exclusive for Xbox, but it is just a game still. We don't know anything about release date, anything like that. They moved on to Life is Strange, which is Before the Storm, and episode 1 of 3 will be launching August 31st. Before the Storm, I'm assuming this is a prequel to Life is Strange. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a sequel. I didn't play Life is Strange, so I'm going to say since it's Before the Storm, I'm going to assume it is a prequel. But that will be coming out again, like I said, August 31st. That will be episode 1 of 3. Then we went into Shadow of War gameplay. They showed just, kind of what we had seen already. Branding, the bosses, the orc bosses fighting each other. And then we saw him kind of jump into the field, brand this guy, which felt very scripted, but it might be. But he ended up befriending the orc, or not befriending him, but branding the orc and turning him to his will, and his name was Bruce. I liked Bruce a lot. He was really, really funny. I actually didn't expect it to be like that. I know he was kind of charismatic in the fight leading up to that, where he, comes into Brandon, but I didn't know he's going to have that kind of level of comedy. But he felt like a very scripted character, so maybe everybody will have Bruce. If it's really that in-depth, and there's like, you could just have a random orc, and that random orc could have, any name and anything. Doubt it, though. So it's probably Bruce. Everyone's going to have a Bruce. He'll probably die. I'm almost sure of it. Moving on, we saw a pre-assault system as we saw the character, line up and get ready to assault a fortress. And we saw him like, here's what you got doing this. This is your guy on the left, guy on the left. He's going to go take out the commander. He's going to go deal with the gate. He is going to deal with the garrison. And you're going to do whatever it is your character does. So we saw a little bit of that pre-battle system. We haven't seen that in the previous gameplay, so it was nice to see that here. But other than, just a little bit of just explanation, there wasn't much beyond that. And then a piano was on stage. There was a piano on stage, and then there was a trailer, what looked very Ori-ish, and there were spider monsters, and a sad owl, and then Ori-ish thing came out, and it was Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I know a lot of people really liked Ori in the Blind Forest, so I know a lot of people were really looking forward to this. A lot of people love the 2D platformers. I never played Ori in the Blind Forest, but it looked interesting. The first trailer for Ori in the Blind Forest did tug on my heartstrings, and this one also didn't do that as hard, but it still was very sad. So I'm glad to see that they didn't give up on just, Ori was just a one-shot, and they want to keep committing to that type of game style. And then they talked backwards compatibility. There's 350 games currently on backwards compatibility, and then they announced that they're going to also be supporting Xbox original games. I mean, way back in the beginning, Fat Controller Xbox original games. So, like, maybe the old style Voodoo Vince. I don't know what else. The OG Halo 2, but I don't know what they could do. I'm trying to literally pick my brain for Xbox games that I'm like, they're bringing that over. Ninja Gaiden? But, cool, interesting. Crimson Skies is something that apparently the community's been asking for, and Phil was like, oh, there it goes, Crimson Skies, coming out later this year. Yay! Okay, so Crimson Sky was cool. 4K updates to many of the games, so a lot of the games like Gears and I think Forza Horizon and Halo Wars 2 are going to be getting 4K updates soon when the new console launches. And when the new console launches, it'll launch at $500. I was hearing a lot of back and forth, the speculation. It was like, oh, it's going to be $600. Oh, it's going to be $650. No, it's going to be $500. Oh, it'll be $400. $500 is a good price, I think, for that console. I think that's that middle ground of not being too expensive and not being too cheap. I mean, obviously, the cheaper the better, because, if it was a really expensive console and we were getting it super cheap, that would be awesome. But that is not the case, but it's coming out for $500. I'm very interested in the Scorpio. I just wish I had more stuff to incentivize me to buy it, as most stuff is not coming out till 2018. But I am glad with the price. I'm happy with $500. It seems good and reasonable to me. And then the final announcement from Xbox was BioWare's Anthem game. We had seen a little bit of this at EA, but they were like, oh, okay, well, here it is, and you'll see some of it later. So we saw it here. This is supposed to be BioWare's Destiny-ish open-world exploration game. We saw the town. It looked very Star Wars-y almost, in this kind of like, this marketplace, and, this town, and they were walking through, and someone was explaining, like, oh, I did something. I talked to some guys, and now I'm in trouble. And then your main character was, okay, going out to explore. You get in some sort of mech suit. I'm assuming this lets you survive the environment of the outside world, obviously you won't get shot, so the suit will do that. They have different types of suit. They have everything from a Ranger, which they explain is like a balanced, the balanced suit, and then you have the Colossus, which is the tanky, heavy suit. And you could fly. There's a lot of flying around in the jungle, with the suits obviously have, jetpacks, very Iron Man-esque, with the flying system. Can't wait to try out the flying system. It looks really, really cool. At one point, they dive underwater, and they get, like, discovery points, like, when they're like, have you gone to that cave? And it's, like, plus 25 discovery points, or discovery experience. But it looked really cool. I like the underwater stuff. My friends who I was talking to looked really excited for it. There are gear slots, so we know there's gear. The Colossus at some point has a mortar on his back, and that fires out and explodes a bunch. The Ranger has, like, Mav strike missiles inside of him, and the Flyers goes out and locks on multiple targets, kills a bunch of dudes. They definitely get loot drops. She does get a legendary rifle in the E3 chat. She's like, "Woo, this is cool. I like this. I can't wait. I got this." But then they go into a new area where a storm's coming in, and they end up showing up the game as 4-player co-op. For a long time, I was afraid it was only going to be 2-player co-op, but it was 4-player, and I'm glad to see that it was 4-player. And it's another game not coming till 2018. And then they just showed off a demo reel of just kind of everything and a bunch of stuff. This was a good conference. This was another good conference. For some people, I think this was probably a great conference because they wanted to know about Scorpio, which is now Xbox One X, and Anthem. Anthem looked cool, but it's not on the horizon. It's, past the horizon onto the next year. Like, it's gonna be a while off. Cool. Xbox One original games, that's great. I'm happy for that. I don't know what I would want to use on that. Ashen looked pretty cool. Shadow of War I knew about. Crackdown 3 looked really cool. But I really felt like I wasn't getting a lot this year. I felt like I came out of that not expecting to get so little this year. I was hoping to get more coming out, but a lot of it was pushed back to 2018. So while Crackdown 3 looks good, and there's a couple little indie games there, I think that Microsoft had a good conference. I don't think it was a great conference. I think it was better than EA's conference. If I had to grade EA on a scale of 1 to 10, I think EA probably had a 6. It was just kind of like, for me, sports was like not that great. And Microsoft, probably an 8. I want to say like a 7.5. It was okay. It was an okay conference. It was not the worst of the two we've seen, but we've only seen 2. Obviously, Bethesda, PlayStation, and Ubisoft had their chances to continue on. Obviously, Nintendo has something to do. But it was an okay conference. I was wishing for more, but I think what we got was fine. I just personally wanted more. But that's my roundup for Xbox E3 conference. Good conference, but wanted more out of it. I'll be posting this hopefully very soon after the conference, and then I'll be doing another one on Bethesda's, which for me is going to be very, very, very late in the evening, so I'm going to probably not have that up till tomorrow. But thank you for tuning in, guys, and if you watched, let me know your feedback in the comments below. Like the video, and subscribe to my channel if you want to stay up to date and see what's going on with the rest of E3 and any of my future videos. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Right behind you. Whoa. This storm is getting crazy. So what are we supposed to do? Fly into it?
All right, let's do this.
See you on the other side.
Our story is out there.